Now that we've learned how the annuity scheme works and how that works to get the future value and the final balance once few contributions have been made, now I'm going to show you the most easiest method to calculate that future value. I've got a formula for you. So you don't have to now go through all that process of filling in the boxes and filling in the table, because now I've got a formula for you. So this is the future value formula, guys. Trying to be very familiar with it. Basically, M is the money contributed at the end of each period. So how much you invest every period, every year, every month, every fortnight, depending on your period. M is your regular contribution. Now R is the rate of the interest and N is the number of compounding time periods. So you probably should be familiar with R and N. So that's the formula, guys. Trying to write it down somewhere, get familiar with it, because that's what we're going to be using for the next few questions. So let's start with an example. $1,000 is invested at the end of each year for 3 years at 10% per annum, compound interest commencing from 2011. So we have a commencing date, but we don't really need that because we have our formula. See, we've got 3 years, that's going to be our, what is it going to be? That's going to be our period, and we've got 10% per annum, that's our interest rate, and we've also got how much is invested every year, $1,000. So our future value formula, where we put our M, that's our frequent contribution, our regular contribution of $1,000. Our rate is simply 10%, and our number of periods is 3 years. So that's going to be the power minus 1, and we always put it over the rate, 0.1. Just calculate it, guys, in your calculator, and that is it. So I just simply put the values into the formula, and that's what's basically all I did. That's all you need. So just make sure you get the grasp of the main points of the question and put it into the right spot into the equation, or into the formula, sorry. All right, so let's try the questions. Question 1. Calculate the future value of the following annuity. $2,200 at the end of every year. So every year, $2,200 is your investment or your deposit or your contribution for 5 years with an interest of 4.5% per annum compounded annually. So it's an annual contribution. Annual compounding. So you can see that it's 4.5% per annum, and the number of years is also the same unit. So make sure your units are also always matching. So this is our future value formula. Make sure you get familiar with it, and let's put the values in. So first of all, our M is our $2,200. That's our value of our investment every year. Now R is simply our 4.5%. I just converted it into a decimal. And N is simply just 5 years. All I need to do now is put it into the formula, just like that. So M, that goes into there, our rate goes there, and our power of 5, and make sure you divide it by the rate again. And just calculate it, put it all into your calculator all at once, and you should get something like this. That's going to be the future value. So after investing $2,200 every year for 5 years, it builds up to this much money at the end of the 5-year period. So it should be more than your investment because of the extra interest additionally charged on top of it. Okay? So let's try question 2. Calculate the future value of the following annuity. So it's $500 at the end of every 6 months for 5 years at 7.25% per annum, compounded biannually. Biannual means semi-annually, half yearly. So how many half years in a year? Of course 2, isn't it? So make sure we have to match up the units. It's $500 at the end of every 6 months. So see how 6 months is half a year? At the end of each half year, we invest $500. Now it goes for 5 years, and this is how much it's per annum. So we have to do some conversions, don't we? So first of all, we know that we're going to use this future value formula. Our M is simply our $500 that we invest every half year. And our R, our rate, we have to calculate that. Our rate is 7.25% per annum. So every half year, every biannum, we simply divide it by 2 and calculate it. That should be what you have. So that's going to be the R that we're going to be using. Now, to get N, the time periods, how many half years in 5 years? Well, in 1 year, there's 2 half years. So in 5 years, we just times it by 2. So 2 biannuals, in other words. So it gets 10. So we've got N, we've got R, we've got M. Just put it all into the formula in the right spot, just like that. So our M goes there, our R goes there, and our power is 10. Just calculate it. It should be something like this. All right, the calculations I'm not too concerned about, but make sure when you're converting, you be extra careful, all right? Question 3. Okay, we're doing the same thing, but this time it's $1,000 at the end of every quarter. And it goes for 3 years, and it's 5.2% per annum, and it says it's compounded quarterly. So, again, we're going to use our future value formula. Our M, our contribution, is $1,000 per quarter. Because it's compounded quarterly, we've got to convert everything to quarters, don't we? So that's a quarterly investment. Now rate, it's 5.25% per annum. How many quarters in 1 year? There's 4. So we divide it by 4 and calculate that. Our N is 3 years, but we have to change it to quarters. There's 4 quarters in 1 year, so in 3 years there must be 3 times 4 quarters, and that's what I get. Yeah? So now I've got everything. Put it into the formula. So our M, our R, and our N, just as I got above. And then just calculate it. That's what you should have. So again, the key component of this question is to do some conversions very correctly. Okay, and that's what you put into the formula. Question 4, again, we're finding the annuity, the future value of this annuity, $600 at the end of every month. For 6 years, 8.4% per annum. This time it's compounded monthly. So we're going to change everything in terms of months. So we'll use our future value formula, where our M is simply our $600 that we deposit every month. And our rate, it's a per annum rate, isn't it? We're going to convert it to months by simply dividing it by 12 to get 1 month worth of interest rate. And that's what we get. Now our N, it's 6 years. But how many months in 6 years? We need to multiply it by 12 and get that, 72 months. And then, now we've got everything, put it into your formula. So our M, that's what we have, $600. Our rate of 0.007, and our N is 72. Make sure you don't forget to minus 1 on the top. And then calculate it. That's what we have. That's the future value. Question 5. Okay, this time $320 deposited at the end of every week. So it's a weekly deposit. For 2 years, 5.2% per annum, and it's compounded weekly. So every week. We have to convert everything to weeks now. So here's our formula again, which you should be quite more familiar by now. Our M is $320. That's how much we invest per week. Now it goes for 2 years, and it's 5.2% per annum. We've got to convert both of them to a weekly one. So 5.2% per annum, how many weeks in a year, guys? There's 52. So to get 1 week's worth of interest rate, we divide it by 52 and get that. Now our N is 2 times 52. Because we're going for 2 years, we're going to multiply 2 by 52 to get it into weeks. Times it, and that's what we have. Put it all into the formula, not a big deal. Make sure you always do this in brackets though, guys, that's very important. And then you calculate it. That's the answer. So again, the key thing was converting everything to weeks. So question 6, it says calculate the future value of the following annuity. This time it's $550 at the end of every fortnight. For 3 years, 5.2% per annum, it's compounded fortnightly. So we're going to convert everything to fortnights, don't we? So again, we want the future value. So this is our formula that we're going to be using. And our M, our regular payment, will be simply our $550 because that's what's paid every fortnight, isn't it? And that's already in fortnights. Now let's convert the rate. How many fortnights in a year, guys? It's 26. So we're going to convert 5.2% by 26 by simply dividing by 26 and calculate it. Now our N, our time periods. It goes for a 3-year period, but there's 26 fortnights in 1 year, so we're going to convert it to fortnights by multiplying 3 by 26, and we get 78. So now that's what we're going to be putting into all the values into the formula. So our M is 550, our rate of that goes into that and that. Our power, make sure you keep all the brackets, make sure you do it really well in your calculator very carefully and calculate it. That's what you should have. So our investment of $550 every fortnight over a 3-year period, every single fortnight, within that 3-year period, it grows to that much eventually at the end. That's how we use the annuity value formula by using future values.